Mr. Chair and Ranking Member Portman, and good morning to all the witnesses. Thank you so much for your service and your willingness to serve. I have questions for each of you, so I'm going to start with Ms. Ahuja. It was nice to talk with you via Zoom, whenever that was, a week or two ago. The use of out-of-date and commercially unsupported information technology by federal agencies is one of the main drivers of increased IT maintenance costs because these aging systems rely on expensive expert and contract personnel instead of a more nimble and generalized IT workforce. In addition, these systems diminish effective delivery of services to the American people, including those struggling to access their retirement benefits due to the Office of Personnel Management's aging technology infrastructure, and expose agencies as well to security threats. So as Director of the Office of Personnel Management, how will you advocate for government-wide IT modernization in order to reduce costs associated with specialized contractors, increase security, and improve service delivery to the American people?
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Hassan, and it was wonderful to chat with you previously, and we talked about this issue, and I completely agree with you that we have to be able to move off of these legacy systems, focus on IT modernization, and that would be a high priority for me if I was confirmed. There's a number of areas of focus that would need to take place at OPM, the retirement services, of course, other aspects of the personnel system, moving to a digital record, those type of things. And there is a real balance, and unfortunately, because of having to maintain legacy systems, it is taken away from doing the modernization. I will be upfront with my colleagues in partnership with them, appreciate the IT Modernization Fund. I think that's a big step forward.
Thank you very much. To Mr. Hujar, at my request, the Postal Service Inspector General issued a report that found that the main cause of postal delays and poor service in New Hampshire was due to a lack of permanent staff. Since the report came out in December 2020, the Postal Service has hired more than 150 new permanent employees in New Hampshire, something that will surely help to improve service to the Granite State. Drawing on your experience as General Counsel of the American Postal Workers Union, how could the Postal Service better engage with the postal unions to promote recruitment and retention of a robust postal workforce in order to improve service nationwide?
Senator, thank you for that question. The Postal Reorganization Act focuses clearly on having a career workforce and opportunities for advancement of the career workforce. And the 10-year plan, I'm pleased to see one aspect of it is to refocus on and depend on the career workforce. There was a big turnover of the non-career workforce, which according to the 10-year plan was a large contribution to the service failures that we experienced. And and the 10-year plan also dedicates itself specifically to complying with all collective bargaining agreements with the unions. So I'm hopeful that the Postal Service will do that, and by relying on well-trained, reliable career workers, service will improve.
Thank you. Now I'm going to move on to Ms. McReynolds. Good morning. Similar to Colorado, though not nearly as large, New Hampshire has its fair share of rural, remote, and mountainous areas that can be difficult to access, but nevertheless deserve reliable delivery from the Postal Service to receive essential items like prescriptions or food, or to run their small businesses. How will you draw on your experience working with rural or remote communities in Colorado and across the country to advocate for reliable service in hard-to-reach locations?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I did grow up in a rural community. My parents still live there, and I also, in my work in Colorado, at improving the voting systems, I worked with rural communities across Colorado, and this was actually a huge issue that when the postal network started to change back in 2012, and there was consolidation of various networks, we had a huge impact, and we had to have a lot of conversations with the Postal Service about how to respond to that, address that, and improve service in rural communities. So I absolutely think that rural communities are essential in terms of any changes that get put forward with network or even service, and we have to maintain it, and we have to maintain the universal service obligation that is outlined clearly in the law. And it's important, I also believe, to engage rural stakeholders directly on what is important to them, what they need, what they don't have access to now, and look for opportunities that are creative and innovative to better serve them.
Thank you for that answer. And now, Mr. Stroman, to stabilize the Postal Service's financial position and institute reforms, there has to be a good faith exchange of information and ideas between Postal Service leadership and Congress. Based on your own experience working on congressional oversight, what will you do as a governor to promote transparency and accountability on behalf of the Postal Service?
Thank you for that question, Senator. I think there are a couple of things that certainly I would want to do. I have, in my career, worked in a bipartisan fashion to ensure that there's a free flow of information. Congress is a key stakeholder in overseeing the Postal Service and getting input from the Postal Service. And I think it's incumbent on both the board and management to reach out and get information and get the opinions of Congress and take that into account. Ultimately, part of the financial stability of the Postal Service rests in Congress's passing postal reform. In order for that to happen, Congress needs to understand and communicate clearly with the Postal Service. And I certainly commit, as if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as a governor, to work closely with the Congress, both in transmitting information and responding to requests for information. And we hopefully work together on postal reform legislation.
Well, I would look forward to that. One thing I would just add is that we often are a source of data collection for all of you, too. My office keeps track of constituent calls and complaints about the Postal Service, and it's been really important in getting some of these recent improvements in New Hampshire that we were able to present the information directly from constituents, which didn't always line up with what the Postal Service was telling us.
Absolutely. And I would say, in my role as Deputy Postmaster General, I received many of those concerns, and they were enormously helpful in helping us pinpoint service issues throughout the country. I mean, it's one of the ways that I think we use that information to help improve service for the American people. So I absolutely agree with that.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.